Greetings folks, I'm Tom and welcome to Monster Gab, where we love to talk about classic and vintage horror. Now, whenever I think of classic horror, I always think of Hammer Film Productions. I mean, after all, during the 60s and 70s, they made some of the best horror films ever. With such creatures like Dracula, Frankenstein, mummies, witches, werewolves, you name it, they did it. But if I was to ask you the question, which actor starred in more films for Hammer than anyone else, well, you'd be forgiven for thinking the likes of Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee. After all, they starred in many films for Hammer, a lot of them being horror films. They also starred alongside each other for a lot of those films too, or at least within the same movie anyway. Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee each starred in at least 20 films for Hammer alone. But there is one man who starred in more films than these legendary icons, and that man's name was Michael Ripper. Now you may be thinking, who? And that's totally understandable. After all, Michael is what is known as a bit part actor. He only had very little screen time and very few lines to read too. He never starred in any kind of leading role for Hammer, and many of the time he went uncredited for a lot of his work. If you were to check out any of the movies that he starred in, you will see that a lot of the time his name isn't even on the bill. But if you needed someone to play a tavern landlord or an innkeeper, or maybe a police constable, or even a gravedigger, then Michael Ripper was your man. Born in 1913 in Portsmouth, Hampshire, Michael had an early career as an actor, both in film and TV, and on stage and theatre too. He'd already starred in 30 films before he'd even joined Hammer, but a lot of the time he was performing on stage. During the Second World War, he worked mostly at the Gate Theatre in Dublin, Ireland. However, his voice was severely altered after facing an operation due to a thyroid issue. His voice became raspy and gravelly, and he was no longer able to project it, something that you need to do on stage or in theatre perhaps, but not necessarily in film and TV. Hence why he pursued a career with Hammer Film Productions. In fact, quoting from Michael himself, he says, "I didn't really sound like a human being, so all I could do was horror." True that was indeed, because Michael starred in 34 films for Hammer alone, many of them being the horror films we all know and love today. Just to mention a few: The Revenge of Frankenstein, The Curse of the Werewolf, several Dracula movies, and 3 Mummy movies too. Michael Ripper may have gone uncredited for a lot of the work he did, but he's certainly a legend in my eyes, which is why I owe him this dedication. In June the year 2000, Michael passed away at the age of 87, but his legacy still lives on in the work he did, especially for Hammer Film Productions. So next time you're watching a Hammer horror movie, just look out for Michael Ripper's cheeky face, because chances are he's probably in there somewhere. So guys, do you know who Michael Ripper is? Please do let me know in the comment section. And are there any other unsung heroes in horror that you believe deserve some kind of mention? Speak to me guys, I would love to hear your thoughts, and until next time. I don't know who they are, but if you don't subscribe, they will get you. And leave a like and share with your friends, etc, etc. You know the drill. Thanks very much guys, take care, see you soon, bye bye.